On the morning of Wednesday, March 6th, the Midnight's Edge live review and discussion of Captain Marvel was abruptly ended when it was taken down by a false copyright strike. We immediately began the process of handling the issue, and less than 24 hours later, the strike was redacted and the live video restored. In the immediate aftermath of receiving the strike, though, we did not know how long the process would take, or even if the original live video could even be restored. So we also set about making a video review to replace the, at the time, missing live stream. Here's Andre's original response and review in its entirety as it was posted on Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Right, there's something about this that's so black. It's like, how much more black could this be? And the answer is none. None more black.
Towards the end of the previous Captain Marvel editorial, I teased a live discussion and review of the movie itself to take place on March 6th, a few hours after I saw the movie. That live discussion, featuring myself and Tom, my co-host, began as planned and progressed nicely, with more than 2,000 watching. However, it did not end as planned. On the contrary, it ended rather abruptly, as the live stream was shut down midstream by, of all things, a copyright strike. Not a copyright claim, a copyright strike. Now this is a bit weird. This livestream featured no video, no images and no music, so nothing under copyright protection. What is more, Captain Marvel is now in release internationally and the review embargo has ended, so there should be no issues relating to talking about the movie. Well, apparently, the Estonian Organization for Copyright Protection felt differently, as they were the ones that issued the strike, and they did so just as we were moving into spoiler territory, more specifically, when I began talking about the political subtext of the movie itself. Coincidence? Intentional? A minor international agent acting on behalf of a bigger corporate overlord? I don't know, you tell me. Anyway, unless YouTube can make this right and somehow retrieve that aborted stream, it may be lost forever. That of course would be a shame, so I am going to repeat the highlights from that stream right here, in order to hopefully avoid another copyright strike, or at the least argue why it's not justified in case it comes. This video will also feature no video and only a minimum of imagery, none of which is copyright protected, so you will have to excuse that this video is slightly more plain looking than usual. In this video then, I will provide my review of Captain Marvel. To do that, I will first share my thoughts on the character and any bias I might have had going in, before listing what I really liked and then what I found to be merely okay about the movie. Here, there will be no spoilers of any note. Then, I'll talk about what I did not like about the movie. In so doing, I will also explore the movie's political subtext, and here there will at the very least be mild spoilers. I have never read any of the modern Captain Marvel stories, so beyond having seen her on comic book covers, Carol Danvers is a character I know nothing about. I obviously have followed and covered the controversy surrounding the movie, but in that coverage, I try to take an as neutral a stance as possible, always emphasizing that the controversy is meta-controversy. It wasn't the movie itself that caused the reactions, but rather the marketing and conversation surrounding the movie, much of it related to its feminist angle. I hoped that, like Black Panther did with black culture and African heritage, that Captain Marvel would be able to champion the women's movement without stepping on other groups, most notably men, in the process. Was it able to? We shall see. Captain Marvel is a mixed bag, most definitely. There is some genuinely good in the movie. There is some genuinely bad in there too. But most of all, it is just bland. The movie is overall entertaining, but in my opinion, one of the weaker installments of the MCU. Bottom 5 somewhere, I'd say. In some ways, it felt more like a DC movie than a Marvel movie. To continue that comparison, I'd rate it much better than Green Lantern, but not as good as Wonder Woman. But let's begin with the positive, So here is the list of what I genuinely liked about the movie. My favorite part of Captain Marvel is the Stan Lee tribute. I actually had to hold back a tear. It was that beautiful. To me, that was the undisputed highlight. I won't say where in the movie this tribute is, or what form it takes, but I will say that everything went a little bit downhill from there. Do keep that in mind when you see it. You will recognize it, I promise. The other thing I really liked was the first act, with the new scenery and some level of mindfuckery, which I felt really worked. The musical score, not the pop songs, but the musical score was a good one, reminded me of Thor Ragnarok. I also really liked Samuel L. Jackson in the movie. He elevated every scene he was in and was utterly great. Digital de-aging looked good too. Then there was Ben Mendelsohn, who played the Suliban leader. Did I say Suliban? I meant to say Skrull, but they reminded me of the Suliban in many ways. If you know your Star Trek Enterprise, you'll know what I mean. That concludes what I really liked about the movie. You'll note I have not yet mentioned Brie Larson. Let's now move on to what I thought was okay, but which didn't really shine. Now we get to the cat that everyone is so hyped about. Honestly, I thought it was underused compared to what it could and probably should have been. The only reason it worked as well as it did was because of Samuel L. Jackson. Something else that was okay was Agent Coulson. Oh, he looked good, and Clark Gregg was as always fantastic. But like the cat, he was in my opinion underutilized. The 90s pop songs were good, but I also felt even more could have been done with them. The early reviews really praised Lashana Lynch as Carol's old friend, and she does fine with what she was given, but like Coulson and like with the cat, I felt she was given very little to work with. That concludes what I thought was alright. You will note I still haven't talked about Brie Larson. Now, let's move into what I thought was outright bad. Be warned that now we are entering spoiler territory. Only mild spoilers, but spoilers nonetheless. So if you don't want them, turn back now. It's okay, there's no shame in it. The time has now come to talk about Brie Larson. In my editorial so far, I have tried to clear up misunderstandings resulting from her putting her foot in the mouth on a number of occasions. I think I've been fairly neutral on Brie Larson the activist and Brie Larson the promoter of this movie. But now, the time has come to assess Brie Larson the actress and her performance as Captain Marvel. I mentioned earlier that I thought the first act was good, and Brie Larson is good in it. The reason for that is that then she is trained and instructed not to be emotional and more or less act like a piece of wood. So she is merely expressing herself in the manner in which she has been trained to do. This is cool. But later in the movie, there comes a point where she has an epiphany about her training and those training her, and this is a more emotional moment. Acting-wise, this is perhaps the most important scene in the entire movie, and in my opinion, Brie Larson botched it. She wasn't quite Chris Klein in Street Fighter The Legend of Chun-Li bad, but I thought she was bad enough that that comparison sprung to mind. Something else I thought was bad was the friendship between Carol Danvers and her friend Rambeau and Rambeau's daughter. There have been several articles talking about how great a friendship this was, and how it more or less replaced the need for romantic interest in the movie. I can only imagine those articles must have been paid for advertisements, because that did in no way come across on screen. On the contrary, I detected no chemistry between Larson and Lynch, and I did not for a second believe they were friends. Finally, the last thing I did not like was the movie's subtext and underlying message. This may have had something to do with the fact that I'm a male and a white male at that, so it will be interesting to hear what others have to say in our upcoming more diverse roundtable. In my earlier editorials, I stressed that the movie was marketed as a feminist movie, but that the movie itself might not be all that divisive. I mean, Black Panther was able to celebrate African heritage without stepping on anyone else in the process, and I assumed that Marvel would do the same thing here. I was wrong. The movie does have a feminist theme and undertone, and this is divisive. Some of it is in your face, like the flashbacks of how every white male Carol Danvers seemingly ever encountered told her she was no good because she was a girl, and how when she fell, she should stay down. Outside of Coulson, pretty much every white man in the movie is portrayed in a negative light. However, this is not Ghostbusters level ridiculous. The feminist message, while very much so there, is more subtle. Like when she ends up in that Blockbuster video store from the trailer, she shoots one of those huge standing cardboard posters promoting movies, in this case, True Lies. It was a very clean shot though, which took off the head of Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I guess was symbolic of the toxic masculinity on display, while Jamie Lee Curtis was left unscathed. It's subtle though, buried in subtext, so much so that it will probably fly over the heads of a good chunk of the audience. I'll spell it out though. The theme of the movie is that Carol Danvers, and by extension all women I guess, are held down by patriarchy. Danvers' arc is to go woke and recognize that those she thought was building her up was in reality all the time holding her down. It is when she symbolically stands up and rids herself of these shackles of patriarchy that she realizes her full potential, that she can do anything, on screen represented by glowing and becoming super duper powerful. Don't believe me? Think I'm exaggerating? Watch the movie and tell me I'm wrong. The final thing I did not like was the mid-credit scene, which is a first for a Marvel movie. I always really enjoyed those. But this one made me worry about Avengers Endgame. I know I sounded very negative there, so let me reiterate that overall, this is a fun ride with a lot of good in it, but also enough bad that it, in my opinion, is one of the weaker installments of the entire MCU. About Avengers Endgame, I think that Captain Marvel is beneficial watching, but I am not convinced the movie will be required watching, so there's that. We will discuss this in far more detail in a more extensive roundtable come this weekend, but till then, here you have my review. Agree? Disagree? Are you excited about seeing the movie? Who do you think was really behind copyright striking our live stream? Let me know in the comments.
If you like this video, then please help share it and share your opinion in the comments. Midnight's Edge aims to give the most comprehensive analysis and commentary on genre culture and entertainment. If you would like to see more of our videos, then please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and remember to indicate that you would like to be notified when new videos are uploaded. If you really like what we do, then please support us on Patreon until a better alternative comes along, or send us a direct donation through PayPal. Also check out our sister channel Midnight's Edge After Dark for live shows and other rants. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and stay tuned for more here at Midnight's Edge.